Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake, and I'm here today with the man, the myth, the legend, my good friend, Pat Flynn. How are you doing today, Pat?
I'm doing excellent, man. Thankful to be here, and thanks everybody for listening in.
Yeah, absolutely. Pat, for like the 5 people in my audience who have never heard of you, could you tell them just a little bit about yourself, the 30, 60-second version?
For sure. So a lot of people do know my story. I was laid off from my architecture job in 2008, started an online business helping people pass an architecture exam. It blew up, and then I started to show people exactly what I did, and that was done at smartpassiveincome.com. We still have that website now with a podcast and a YouTube channel. Podcast has over 80 million downloads. We help people, creators of all levels, all types, all ages, start something new on the internet, and hopefully create some additional income for themselves. More recently, however, I've been getting into a lot of side experiments. So in 2017 to 2019, I invented a physical product called the Switch Pod with my videographer, Caleb. And we kind of, as we always do, and as I always do, I just kind of openly share how that process goes. And that launched in February of 2019 and had made about $500,000 in 60 days on Kickstarter. That business is still running, and it's pretty autopilot right now. And since 2020, I've been working on a new YouTube channel in a space that I knew nothing about that is now taken over much of my life in such a good way. And that is in the world of Pokemon. I'm now a Pokemon YouTuber, which I know we're going to get into today.
Absolutely. And a couple of things that a lot of people probably may not be familiar with. First of all, Pat's one of the reasons that I actually am successful on the internet. The content that he's made, his journey and everything was so relatable to me at that point in my life. And I owe a lot of my online success to the transparency, the content, the earnestness that Pat put out there. And one of the things that deeply made me resonate with, I want to be successful at this is one day I want to not only be a successful business person, but I looked at the type of father and husband Pat is, and I said, I want that. I want that. So really excited to talk to you about all these things. And as for the Pokemon stuff, the ritual when I was growing up as a child, Pat, was every morning, me and my sister would sit down, watch Pokemon, and we would sing the Pokemon theme song together. As we watched and ate our breakfast, we would be the very best, like nice. No one ever was. Yeah, no, still get the feels every time I hear it. Every time, still. I probably do not go a week without playing the dubstep version of the Pokemon theme. And so good. I grew up with that. And you have children that have now grown up with Pokemon as part of their lives. Tell me something. What made you decide to build the Deep Pocket Monster YouTube channel? And if I'm not mistaken, 250,000 subs in 1 year, and in less than 2 years, 500,000?
Yeah, we're at 500,000 now, 2 years and 1 month into it. It's generating 5 figures of income per month. And I am now hosting my first Pokemon event in June in Anaheim, California. We still have 4 months left, but we've already sold 650 tickets to it. And almost every YouTuber who is a Pokemon creator is coming to this event, which is, again, I wasn't even in this space 2 years ago. So a lot of people see this and they're like, Pat, you just came out of nowhere. You're an overnight success if they didn't know sort of my story from before. And I always have to tell them, this is not an overnight success. I started on YouTube in 2009. I just happened to create this channel, 11 years into the journey. And that's what you're seeing. And so they go, oh, okay. So I've made a bunch of mistakes. I have gone through the ups and downs of YouTube, and I've been able to take all the best of what I've learned and what I've learned about Pokemon and put that into this channel. Now, my first experience with Pokemon was actually in 1999, which was a significant year in the world of Pokemon. That was the year that card set came out. The first set, base set, came out in 1999 in the US. Yeah. And I remember I worked at Toys R Us that year. And every Saturday, my job was to come in at 7 a.m. in the morning, set up tables at the front area of Toys R Us, because at 9 when we opened, a ton of kids would come in with their cards and start playing the game.
You would have been 16, 17 years old back then?
Exactly. I just turned 40 this past year. And so the funny part was I remember kind of scoffing at these kids a little bit, because I was like, ugh, Pokemon, that's such like a children's game, because I was a little bit older. I was playing Magic the Gathering at the time.
Yeah, same.
So MTG was my thing. I did tournaments and I did that. So when I saw this kiddie version of that game come in, I'm like, okay, that's kind of cute. And let me just make sure these kids don't, steal from each other and play safely. And that was my job there. But now, 20 plus years later, I'm like, man, I should have got into it back then, because a lot of these cards now are just so nostalgic for a lot of people
and worth so much money.
a lot of money. I mean, some of the first edition cards are over $500,000, which is kind of insane. But how I got into it was during the pandemic. In 2020, my kids were getting into Pokemon, collecting cards, buying some cards at Target. And then I started to go, oh, like, how does this work now? I remember Pokemon. I kind of want to learn about it so my kids and I can play together and do those things. So I started searching on YouTube. And of course, there are people who've been doing this on YouTube talking about Pokemon opening cards. It was just so fun to see these people react to cards. The beauty of this space is in every pack, in every box, it's a built-in mystery. You don't know what's inside, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little unfair as a creator that we just have that as a part of this niche because that retains viewers, right? What's in this box.
Literally the secret to YouTube itself is like, well, what's in the box? What's behind the video? What's behind this thumbnail? Everything you need to know about succeeding on YouTube could be reverse engineered from Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic the Gathering.
It's so funny. It's true. So in 2020, I got it really involved with a lot of just obsessively watching a lot of these other creators. And then, of course, late 2020, my kids sort of got out of it. And I'm deep into it now. I'm a moderator for different channels now. I'm getting to know the people in the space. And there wasn't any sort of thought of me ever becoming a creator. I was just a obsessive consumer first. But my entrepreneurial brain started to come into play. Myself as a YouTuber as well was just noticing there were a lot of the same creators doing the same kinds of things. And there were some very apparent holes. Nobody was telling good story. Camera quality wasn't always that great. And I knew that I had the ability to, if I wanted to, add some value to this space. Now, going into it, I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be, I have this massive collection. No, I didn't. I have this massive knowledge about the space. No, not really. There was no way I could compete with any of the people who were already there. So I started to go, okay, well, I really want to provide some value to this space. What can I do? It was funny because we just talked about this on my podcast, the SPI podcast. The idea that I was then positioning myself as the person learning as I was going and documenting that journey, right? And so I became seen as the person who was just like the viewer who was also starting out in 2020. And there were many of us because there were some certain things happening with, Logan Paul, who kind of blew it up a little bit, and just the nostalgia that was coming in. And of course, nobody was going out anywhere, so people were looking for things to get into and collectibles and
what I'll give him credit for is for all of his faults and all of his shenanigans, Logan helped normalize the acceptance of Pokemon and being a Pokemon fan, because if Logan Paul is allowed and is like the last person you would probably think of when you think obsessed Pokemon fan, super into it, but clearly he had from growing up, and he was from the generation that grew up with it, the generation that came after like me and you, the little kids that we would have saw, like, because I'm only like 2 or 3 years younger than you. So it would have been like our younger siblings generation and everything like that. Because I believe Logan's about roughly the same age as my younger brother, who's like 10 years younger than me. So those kids, those younger siblings, he made it normal for that generation of people, even if you don't look like the atypical nerdy type or gamer type. I think he helped normalize the acceptance of saying you can be a Pokemon fan for a lot more people openly. Yeah, you can openly be a nerd about these things. So I'm the kind of person who will see a silver lining to almost anybody. And I do see a silver lining to Logan Paul adding some exposure and normalization to that space. But I'm so glad that some very wholesome creators like my friend A Drive and Leon Hart. Leon is one of the first people I ever coached.
He's an OG.
Yeah, he's an OG, and he's one of the first YouTubers I ever coached. And I've loved seeing his journey of leaving. The story he has is he left being an unhappy lawyer to being a happy content creator. And so storytelling is so powerful, like you said. Like when you decide to add new value to the space, what angles did you come from with that storytelling? And what other ways did you find to add value? Because storytelling's compelling and important. You were able to have better production quality so people could focus more on the story you were telling without distractions. What other value adds did you find that put the audience first?
Yeah, I mean, it was just being relatable and not also there were a lot of people in the space, and this is part of the bad side of what Logan Paul brought to the space, was now it was all about the money, right? Because he had these expensive cards, and a lot of people got into the space to try and flip and invest and make money out of this thing, and scammers came in, scalpers came in, all that kind of stuff. So that, with the good came a lot of bad too. Yes. And so I came at it from an angle of, yes, higher level content creation as far as quality and storytelling for sure. And that's something that I've had a lot of experience with, writing books, being on stage and all that kind of stuff. So I brought that sort of performance ability into the space. But more than that, I also brought a lot of what I've learned in entrepreneurship. In fact, one of the first videos I created and one of the struggles I had as a new collector, which relates to that, is this idea of that there's so much to collect that it's just so overwhelming. And I didn't even know where to start. And so I just talked about how I felt about that. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do a strategy that I do in my business, which is the riches or the niches. I'm going to pick a couple lanes to just collect in and nothing else I'm going to worry about. And that video, which is now almost at 1 million views now, two years later, has helped so many people save so much money because they're not spending money on 100 different things they're trying to collect. They're spending money on trying to complete this one set or collect all of one Pokemon or collect all of this particular era of Pokemon, for example. And then the joy that you get when you complete that, which it's a lot easier and faster to complete, makes you feel good, and then you can move on to the next thing afterwards. So I taught that, and I know how to tell that. I know how to teach that, and I just talked about my own story and brought that into it, and people really resonated with that, which was really cool.
I love that, and I love that it's like you, even in a niche that would be considered entertainment, in a niche that is entertainment, through storytelling, you took a lesson that empathizes so what I feel you did was you empathize with people of like, I'm a beginner, I don't know anything, I'm overwhelmed. It's all these feelings. Empathy is being able to acknowledge, relate to, and share the feelings that your audience is experiencing. In terms of validating them, and that this is a normal experience. This is a thing that is relatable, as you said, and everything, and demonstrating that relatability. And then you offered them something. You offered them, well, here's how I'm going to address it. Maybe this will also help you as well. So empathize, validate, and offer. And so I think that that's powerful that you found a way to do that. And it was so simple. It was so simple as just like saying, I figured out how to address this thing that I had going on. And I'm going to make the assumption that many of you are beginners like me and going through the same thing. So let's talk about it and let's see if there's a solution to be offered for this. I love that.
Exactly. And then, of course, there were some other ideas we had. We wanted to go into documentary style because, again, we had that advantage of learning how to produce videos and edit them. Can we create a really beautiful documentary style video about the history of some of these cards? And we did. We did create those videos. And you know what? They're some of our best work, but they have some of the lowest amount of views because we eventually learned by doing that's not what the audience that we have on YouTube really wants to see. And I am not known as a historian. I was doing the research to try to find this stuff, but it was all stuff that a lot of the people in the space kind of already knew. But I did package it nicely, but they were looking for something different. So we moved away from that. And again, it was very, very good that we tried those because you're not going to know exactly what lands first. And in fact, one of our first videos to really land was I was just like, you know what? There's a lot of people selling Pokemon related things on Etsy. And can we make a really engaging, fun video where it's like, I'm going to buy something and then, it shows me buying it for a certain number of dollars. And then I get the package and then I open it. And then I go buy another thing. I get the package and I open it. And even though I order all the things at the same time, you're seeing the ordering and delivery of them one at a time, which keeps the people engaged because they don't know what's coming next. So we're using a lot of YouTube strategies that we've picked up. We are paying very close attention to the retention graphs and when people leave and when people stay and all that kind of stuff. But that one, the title was buying weird Pokemon items on Etsy. What is this even, or something like that? And so the thumbnail had like something that was kind of familiar, but not. It was like a Pikachu, but it was kind of deformed looking. And it was like, okay, like if you are into Pokemon, you're so used to seeing this iconic character, but it looks a little bit different. You're curious what the heck is going on. So you're going to get a click. And we had in the beginning, a 15 to 17% click-through rate, which was wild. That was for our existing audience, of course, and then it went down over time. But that was one of our first videos to get over 1 million views, and that only happened in like 2 months, which is crazy. Now, fast forward to today, we're at a point now with over 500,000 subscribers, and we're not creating videos every week anymore because we've learned that the more we dive into the story of what's happening and what's at stake and bringing tension into it in some way, it just blows up that much more. And it's funny because there's another creator who's a good friend of mine. His channel's PokeRev. He comes out with a video every single day. He's like the John Lee Dumas of the Pokemon space. And that's his advantage. He has the biggest collection, or one of the biggest collections. He has the editing team to make that happen. I could not do that because I also run all these other businesses and I have a family and all this other. I mean, he has a family too, but he's like a machine and I could not compete.
But he's built a machine. He's not only like a machine, he's built a machine.
He's definitely built a machine for sure. For me, it's like, okay, well, I'm only going to come out with a video once a week, maybe once every other week at the latest. But then I'm like, wow, Mr. Beast does that. But people, when Mr. Beast comes out with a video, drop what they're doing to go and watch it. I do the same thing with Mark Rober, right? Exactly. And somebody the other day, before I let you speak, said, do you want to create videos that when a video comes, like let's say a person's getting ready to go to bed and then they see a notification on their phone that says, Pat Flynn came out, or Deep Pocket Monster came out with another video. Are they going to go, oh, I got to stay up and watch this? Or are they going to go, well, I'll put the phone down and watch this first thing in the morning when I wake up? You know what I mean? And people on the Deep Pocket Monster channel are dropping everything to watch because they know they're going to get something, A, that they haven't seen before, and B, a compelling story. And how I know this is working is not just the fact that I'm getting a lot of the people who already know about me commenting and saying, this is great. Like I try to bring emotion into it, and some people have cried because of the stories that we tell. But there are people who comment who say, I don't know what this man is doing. I don't know how I got here, but I can't stop watching. That is my all-time favorite comment.
I love this so much because it speaks to like one of the biggest conflicts in the creator space is the arguments of quality versus quantity. Mm-hmm. My thesis is that value sits above both of them, and most people don't know what quality, quantity, or value actually means. So I go through the trouble of defining them. I'm not going to do that here so much as I want to ask you, would it have been possible to do what you're doing now at the start of the channel?
No. And not because I didn't have the audience, because you can start a channel from scratch and have a video go viral, right? But it's because, A, I've gained the confidence to learn about this space in a way that allows me to then know what value means to these people and how a video that I create can be different than the others that they're already getting. A lot of people say about our channel is that it's like I'm not just opening packs like everybody else. In fact, some of our most popular videos have nothing to even do with the cards, but they're so good at story that they keep you compelled in watching. There was a video. So the way that I approach YouTube is title and thumbnail first. If the title and thumbnail is not good enough to even create a video for, then don't even film the video, right? It always comes from a seed idea though. And one idea that we had was like, when you open a pack of Pokemon cards, they always throw in like an energy card, which is required in the game. But these are so plentiful, nobody cares about them. They often throw them away or whatever. So I'm like, okay, what if there was a video where I just showed people 5 different things you can do with your energy cards? Because my kids and I, we use them and do arts and crafts with them, paintings, and put them in jewelry and whatever. And I was like, okay, well, a video titled like 5 things to do with your extra energy cards, people aren't going to care about that. I mean, my fans will. They'll watch anything, but I want to reach new people, right? That's where growth happens. It's outside of your existing audience. So how can I attract people to a video like that? And it just wasn't working. But then we came up with a story. My producer, Dan Patrick Norton, and I, we started jamming. We're just like, what if the energy cards and the arts and crafts you do are just kind of like a distraction from something else that's even better? And so we came up with the title, Impossible Pokemon Card Trick, Complete or Lose $900 Card. And we essentially created a story where my son became a character, where he challenged me to do a trick shot with one of these energy cards, which is the one thing that I was teaching people how to do, like just throw them across the room and try to land them in a clothespin, Dude Perfect style. And my son would challenge me to do one of those card tricks with the energy cards. And if I didn't do it, I owed him one of my prized cards. So now there was something at stake. And then the whole story was I had a whole day to do this. Stakes. But throughout the day, I was getting distracted by these cool arts and crafts things that my daughter wanted to pull me into. So it's like, it created a story that then at the end had a climax. I'm not going to kind of spoil the ending.
No, but this is brilliant.
There was a reason to stick around to the end.
You created conflict in terms of, oh, I could just practice forever and I can do this. And that's okay. That's interesting enough. But like now you have a distraction insert here of like, oh, now there's this, like, I have this challenge. this duel to the death with my son here with
Right.
$900 card on the line. But, oh, my daughter is doing these adorable arts and crafts. That creates conflict and tension. So you have the setup, you have the conflict and tension, you have the payoff. Storytelling 101. Mr. Beast, like you said, it's a way to Mr. Beastify something in terms of the storytelling. Casey Neistat before him, and so on and so forth. The hero's journey can be applied to almost any content creation you want to do. Beheza does it in the entrepreneur space. He makes the most interesting make money online videos in a saturated niche because of his storytelling, and he's a great entertainer, and that's what's powerful and compelling, and that's what makes a lot of younger people want to learn about personal finance or entrepreneurship, so on and so forth. So no, this is brilliant, and I love this. So, but let me ask you this: before you got to this level with the channel, with this, to where you could do things like that and know with confidence that would work, how many more consistent or basic videos did you have to make to get to that point, to have the confidence to do that and to know that it would work?
I mean, to get to that level, over 100 videos, so it took like a year and a half to get to the point at which then the videos, each video now at a minimum gets 250,000 downloads in 2 days, which is like, we've unlocked that. It took time to get there, but it also took us understanding what kinds of stories is this audience like? What kinds of thumbnails do they react to? What can we do to retain people even more? So we've learned that, for example, we do these challenge videos. We've learned to not do what we started doing, which was me sitting at my desk going, hey guys, in this video, I'm going to do this challenge. I'm only going to give myself 24 hours to complete these things. All right, let's go and do it. Versus I'm starting in the middle of the challenge. You have no idea what's going on. And then the rules start to sort of surface as you're already in the story. And again, it took time. And we pulled inspiration from many other YouTubers to be able to test telling story like that. In fact, many of our videos could be attributed to people like Mr. Beast, of course, but Ryan Trahan. There was a story that was almost, I mean, not frame for frame, but it was done in the exact same way that we thought a person like Ryan Trahan would do. Like really silly, where I start the video where I get a Discord call from one of my community members saying that he got scammed, and the whole thing was let's uncover the scammer, let's figure out what you
happened. Created intrigue, right? I created
intrigue, right? But the funny thing was like Ryan Trahan, we just decided let's go really silly with it. So in the beginning of the video, I have like a machete and I'm cutting down lemons from my lemon tree in my backyard with a giant knife, which is like nobody. Yeah. Why would you do that?
What is this? Like, why would anybody do this? It's like, okay, what's going to happen? What is this I'm even watching?
Right. And then a second later, I get the Discord call, but then I pull a giant iPad out of my pocket, and it's like, I don't address it. I don't say anything about it, but it's there, and people comment.
The absurdity factor. The absurdity. What am I? So I love this. I love this masterclass in storytelling because this is the YouTuber-y thing to do. This is like the YouTuber-y thing to do, which is like the opposite of how I make content, but I love watching content like this. This is what I would watch. And and this is why. It's because you've created this own in-universe kind of thing where it doesn't have to be addressed, because it's like, this is what it is. And it's interesting enough to rewind it and go, am I seeing that correctly? Am I understanding that correctly? You cannot look away. What I feel you did is you made a video where everything is so thought out that we can't look away.
Right. I mean, that's how we want it to be. Now, here's the other interesting thing about that video. That video was just about how Walmart online was scamming people. I could have just had a 4-minute video that was like, hey, everybody, I just got this news. I wanted to let you know about this. One of my fans got scammed. So do not engage with. And it's like, okay, thanks for the public service announcement. Versus the story ended up me ordering the same product that he did, actually also getting scammed, showing that it was real. And now I want to get my money back. And then I didn't know that this was going to happen in the story until it happened. But it was so hard to get my money back that we then played into that even more. So I became even more and more frustrated in the story purposefully, because I just could not get my money back, which is, guess what? Something a lot of us can relate to. And then now there's this rooting for me to finally get my money back, which then climaxes at the end when I finally get my money back. I make Joy, who's the woman, or Josie, or I can't remember her name, but the woman who I was on the phone with, who was like going out of her way, she became the hero of the story, and everybody was like thanking her in the comments, like, thank you so much for finally letting Pat get his money back. And then it just, again, became a much more memorable way to tell people about the thing that was happening at Walmart.
And there's a payoff. And this is the difference, I think, between education and entertainment-based content, which I think is also the secret between, it took you 2 years to accomplish the same thing and more with Deep Pocket Monster as a YouTube channel than with your own YouTube channel that largely revolves around the same content as Smart Passive Income on the Pat Flynn YouTube channel. And the difference in styles and the difference in value is information versus entertainment. Information versus storytelling. So it's the difference between a textbook and a best-selling novel. You know, and I think that even with me, there's I'm still in textbook mode. And I think that that's just interesting, because I still think the lesson of doing this is powerful in and of itself, because obviously you're on track to 1 million subscribers.
Should hit 1 million this year. Yeah,
exactly. This year. Insane, right?
It's just insane. I'm so grateful that I went through a lot of struggle with the Pat Flynn channel. Talking about that channel is confusing. People subscribe for podcast content because I have one of the top podcast tutorials, but then the next video is about SEO, which, it's all related to entrepreneurship and content, but that's not why they subscribe. So the subscribers are confused, and therefore YouTube is confused. With the Deep Pocket Monster channel, I know exactly who is watching this video. And it's funny because, yes, actually, largely it is men who are between 31 and 40 who were like me,
the generation of Pokemon creator of consumers,
who now have money and time and families, and they're like, and actually a large amount of our audience, it's funny, are watching on televisions. This is another interesting stat from our audience. I don't know if it's the same for informational channels, but I know for entertainment,
it's not. But for entertainment, it is. It's people usually watching with their kids or their significant other.
Yes.
Actually, yeah.
That's what's happening. And I have people, like, I went to a convention. I'm now getting invited as a Pokemon influencer, by the way, at different conferences, which is crazy.
This is great. I love this.
I had a table, and my sign was behind me, and there was a line of people. I was signing autographs, taking pictures. And it was so much, like, it was a lot of kids for sure, but mostly parents coming up saying, thank you for giving us content that is family friendly. And it's funny because there's a lot of other family friendly content creators in the Pokemon space, but I don't talk about money like they do. And it's not about pulling cards so that they can make money. It's just, let's have these fun experiences. And I try to use my talents and creative and my team to help kind of showcase those experiences.
So that's a unique value proposition. So that's a unique value add to the niche, because there's a couple of things you did that I want to clarify takeaways on. One, your channel, the difference between Deep Pocket Monster, from my point of view, maybe this is also helpful to you, but I'm sure you've realized this actually, is that the value is much clearer on the Deep Pocket Monster channel, and it's not even close. The Deep Pocket Monster channel is a 5 out of 5 on clarity of the value to the viewer. The value to the viewer is 5 out of 5 clear. On the Pat Flynn Smart Passive Income YouTube channel, I would say the clarity is a 2 out of 5. And I say that as a fan of the channel, by the way. That's no dunk and everything like that.
I'm not arguing.
I'm probably 2.5 to 3 out of 5 at best on my channel as it is. So I'm right there with you. I feel like, so I think that that's a big difference, is clarity. And not only did you, okay, I'm going to niche down, but you niche down to values and goals, not to topics. You niche down to values and goals. I think when I tell people niche down, what was it? Niche down, stand out, blow up. That was it. Yeah. Niche down, stand out, blow up. So the standout part is largely about values. It's about values. And all right, we're family friendly. We're also not going to be in this for the money. We're not going to talk about money, which makes it even more accessible, because now it's not haves versus have-nots. And it's not experts talking down to beginners. So now it's interesting. It's accessible. It's evergreen, because your entertainment is also not something that's dated. That's another Mr. Beast.
That's huge. Oh my gosh. Because a lot of creators in the space, a new set comes out. It's big now, but that goes away. We don't even put the set name. We've learned to not put the set names in our titles, because these videos no matter what the set is, tells a story and has an outcome and has tension, like you said.
I create a hack where for immediacy and urgency, I can put the date in a video concurrent to that year. But what I do when that year is over now is I then change the title. And so it's not like how to grow on YouTube in 2022. It's how to do that fast, or how to do that without X, or by doing X. And now it's no longer dated, which means it's still relevant to whoever it's surfaced for, because now it's not dated. I also learned in recording my videos to not record them in such a way that dates them. And that's like a very thoughtful thing to do, whether you're doing information or entertainment. Is if you look at a Mr. Beast video, he does not make his videos dated. He goes out of his way to make sure you could enjoy that video for the next 3 to 5 years. And that's something that more people can take advantage of, because every video that you make like that can grow your channel. And the more videos you make like that, it's just this compounding and stack effect and everything. So it adds to the video stack and everything like that. That's the secret to evergreen. Evergreen is the infinite growth engine of content. I talk about that in my own book, is that when you make evergreen content, and there's levels to how evergreen you've made it. So there's like level 1 through 5. So I've noticed that, okay, because of some of the things on Smart Passive Income and everything like that, inherently by their nature, they become dated. So even though a lot of that stuff is evergreen and still pulls views, well, how evergreen is the totality of the inventory? I have the same problem. The totality of the inventory at best is a 2 to 3 out of 5 for you and for me on art. But on your Deep Pocket Monster channel, your evergreen is a 4 to a 5 every time you make a video.
Yeah, and we shoot for 5 out of 5 every time.
Exactly.
There's some other interesting things that have happened. I love, like, so I also go live on the channel once a week, every Monday. Like, we just kind of landed on that day as our day to go live.
Yep.
And we're pulling views now. We had not too long ago about 4,500 people concurrently watching.
Yeah, that's huge.
A grown man open shiny cardboard. And, I wrote the book Superfans, and I'm following the Superfans instructions to a T. Building community, putting spotlight on members, making it not about me. It's about us, using specific language that is never about me. It's about us. Like when I pull a card, it's we pulled this card. We got this together kind of thing. And, I've learned a lot about live streaming and how to entertain sort of while live. And some people make it original. You did
365 days of live streaming on your Pat Flynn YouTube channel.
Yeah,
as
which
a
was training.
Learning curve.
Yeah.
Which was what?
It was like training for this.
Yes. To
get comfortable in front of a live audience and learn how to keep people engaged. And I do open cards on the stream, and I do give a lot of those cards away. But we are now at 3,600 members of the YouTube channel. 3,600 paying members. Yep. Who pay $2.99 a month. And this was a big milestone that we just crossed not too long ago. And that number is significant because we now, through membership alone, generate enough revenue to pay for the entire production of the channel.
Yes, and put that into context for everybody. That roughly comes down to, at 3,600 members, YouTube takes 30%. So that's roughly $2 per, which means that's about $7,000 or so per month, which can fund for the production and everything for the channel, but also can fund the giveaways to
that's exactly what it's doing. Paying for shipping.
Yeah. And that could be the goal of a membership community, in my opinion, by the way, is like, what if your membership community, rather than funding your lifestyle, actually is the mechanism for giving back to your community?
Yeah, it's so great. And it's working like amazingly right now. On top of that, there's, of course, sponsorship deals. We're now able to command the highest we've gotten so far is $18,000 for one single video, which is mind-blowing. And on top of that, of course, we have the ad revenue, and the RPMs are significantly lower than they are on the Pat Flynn channel.
Can you talk about that and the difference between those two RPMs?
Yeah, so the RPM on the Pokemon channel is, I mean, it depends on the video, of course, but it's anywhere between $5 and $9 per video, or per thousand views, RPM. On the Pat Flynn channel, it's anywhere between $25 and $50 per video, which is like, well, why don't you spend more time on that channel? Well, I am having so much fun creating this video content, and it's reaching way more people. And of course, because it is reaching more people, it does make up for the lower RPMs. And so, one of our videos, like this was a video we did that, like, we put a little extra care and effort into it. And I think Mr. Beast once said, like, the audience knows when you just go a little bit extra to give them something that they've never seen before. Like, the audience knows that. So there was a video we did where I tried to complete an entire set of Pokemon within 24 hours. And I had to drive around different parts of San Diego, go to a trade night, and I was putting myself in really uncomfortable situations for me personally. I'm an introvert, but I still went to a trade night and filmed it and did these trades. And then it climaxed at the end.
Did you go find like a shady Pokemon dealer in the alley and everything like that, dressed up in a Team Rocket regala and like, hey, I've got cards?
But I did do some deals on Facebook, and I know that in this world, Facebook can be kind of scammy. So I play that up. Hey, I found some cards I needed on Facebook, but will I even get them? I'm going to pay for them, and let's just hope that they actually come through. And that's purposefully added in there to add a little bit more tension and drama, or create another open loop inside the bigger open loop, which is, am I even going to complete this set? And there were some things at stake too. If I didn't finish this, everything I collected had to be donated on a live stream.
Oh,
well, this video ended up becoming, a 1 out of 10 in terms of like rankings. But
by the way, for everybody, 1 out of 10 on YouTube is the good news. That's like, you want that.
Oh yeah, excuse me. Out of your previous 10 videos that you published, it was the #1 highest viewed video within a certain period of time, the best. And this video has 8 million views at this point, 6 months into it. 8 million views.
Oh, it'll be at 10 million before the end of the year.
And it's 20 minutes long. So, I mean, people are like, Pat, why don't you do shorts? This is why. Because we want the loyal audience who's going to continue to come back and hear the full story and get to know me and become a part of the community, not the sort of person who's just flicking his thumb or her thumb, sees me for a second, and then leaves.
Can you talk about that? Can you talk about the value that you've seen as a creator in growing so fast? Because everyone feels the fastest path to success on YouTube is YouTube Shorts, because they see so many people blow up and so many people got silver and gold play buttons during the pandemic off of YouTube Shorts. Yeah. You also became a pandemic creator starting over, and you're on your way to a gold play button by the end of this year, coming out of the pandemic. And you've done it on purely long form and live streams. Can you talk about what you've seen there in the experience, the data, the algorithm, and the audience?
Well, we did do some shorts. We did it early on, and we stopped because shorts were not yet playing well with longs. They were almost sabotaging or taking up, recommendation space versus the longer videos, which we put a lot of time and care into. However, we did have a few shorts go wild. Our most viewed video of all time is a 15 million view video about a Charizard scam story that was a 60-second story. But what we ended up seeing, although it got 15 million views, most of the comments were, why would you spend any money on this stupid hobby anyway?
I've noticed that shorts have the highest volatility of negative comments out of any format.
And it's because the shorts, like, it was reaching people who weren't in the target audience. And it's
I think it reached the scam audience instead of the Pokemon community. I think it reached the people who watch negative content. Because remember what we've talked about before is YouTube goes off of your previous watch history. I think it got so big because it reached a bunch of people who've watched content about scams more than it reached people who care about Pokemon.
Right. So it wasn't reaching the audience that we wanted to reach. So we stopped that. But we've also heard from a lot of other friends of ours and other creators. I'm in a lot of different mastermind groups and such with other YouTubers. They tell me, I mean, they got big audiences that they've gotten very quickly on shorts and on TikTok and elsewhere. They can't move product at all when they're trying to sell stuff, which means, and I'm not in this to make money through products and such.
But it is an indicator of value, though.
It is an indicator of value. It's also an indicator that those audiences aren't the loyal fans.
Yes.
Right. And I want the loyal fans, the super fans, who will not only show up and stop what they're doing to watch a video when a video comes out, but who will do nothing but say amazing things to help grow the community from the inside. Because that's what I've learned. When you build super fans, those people will become your marketing engine, and they will do a much better job at selling you and what you have to offer in your content, your channel, than you could ever with the most perfect words you could ever say.
Can you talk about a simplified shorthand version of the superfans philosophy as espoused in your best-selling book? One of my favorite books on the shelf here, actually.
Oh, thanks, man.
It sits next to my book. Is Superfans, which, like, out of all the things you've written, Let Go was the one that resonated with me, obviously because of our shared similarity in background and story.
Yeah, how we got started.
But Superfans is the best book I've read, I think, about what it means to actually be a content creator and be an audience first content creator. I think it's the best book that I've ever read, even, I would say, even including my book. Like, about this, could you talk about the Superfans philosophy and kind of summarize it?
Yeah, I mean, I have to give credit to Kevin Kelly, the author of 1,000 True Fans, which is kind of what inspired my book. My book was originally a presentation that I kept getting hired to present this because it was so valuable that I just like, let me write this in a book to get it in front of more people. But Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Fans was an article that he wrote in 2008, March 2008, which was for artists, entertainers, and I would include entrepreneurs and creators in there as well. And it's essentially this thing that, like, you don't need a blockbuster hit to create an amazing life for yourself. You just need 1,000 true fans. You don't need millions of subscribers. You just need 1,000 true fans. A true fan being somebody who would buy every product that you come out with, who would, if you're a musician, fly to see you and then drive 8 hours to just listen to a couple songs of yours and then wait backstage to take a picture. These are the people that we're talking about. If they each paid you 1,000, paid you $100 a year for your art, your craft, your entertainment, your service, whatever it might be, that's a six-figure business right there. 1,000 people. Yep. So riches are indeed in the niches because you are more able to reach 1,000 people much faster and become their go-to favorite resource or favorite creator or favorite service. 1,000 people, that's it. But here's the other part of this. Those 1,000 people will not stop talking about your work and your creations and you and your brand. That 1,000 can bring an additional 5,000 people in. I start the story of Superfans about a woman named Jackie who bought one of my exam products when I was teaching architects how to pass an exam, who then convinced her entire office to also buy my study guide. So one person turned into 25 sales because I was able to help her out and I gave her a little bit more of an experience through taking this exam. So when you build for Superfans, you build for longevity inside of your business. You future-proof your business outside of the realm of what are algorithms going to do? What technology is going to be available to us in 5 years to help us, create content? It doesn't matter. When you create, no matter what platforms are out there, the experiences that will get a person to not just follow you, but be a fan of yours, it's just magic, right? And as I say in the book, super fans aren't created the moment people find you. They're created by the moments that you create for them over time. And it takes some time, which is why a lot of people fail at this because they are in it just for the sale and then they leave. Versus the sale might be the start of the relationship that can turn into an amazing long-term, lifelong customer and lifelong person who's going to help market your stuff for you. And so the journey begins with people who've just found you, right? We want to convert them into, that's your casual audience. They found you through search or a link somewhere. They don't know who you are, but you have something that might help them. Then you convert them into an active audience. They're now subscribers. They now know you and what you have to offer. They're not necessarily consuming everything you come out with yet, but they know who you are. And your job is to then convert them into a member of the community where now people are able to find each other, not just you talking to them or them talking to you. It's y'all finding each other because then that validates where you're at. It's like the people at the ballpark who then high five each other when the team scores the winning goal, just because they're wearing the same ball cap and they're in the same ballpark, right? Like you can make connections there. And when you facilitate those safe interactions between your people, that can do nothing but grow your brand and make it even stronger. And then some people from there will become super fans. And a lot of that happens because you give them a little bit of time and attention. A little bit of personalization goes a long way. One thing I love to do in my SPI side of things, which I've now carried over into the Deep Pocket Monster stuff, is I go to a lot of other smaller creators' channels and I just show up in their comment section and say, dude, this was an amazing video. And that absolutely blows their mind. And guess what? They don't stop talking about that 4 seconds I took to just take a second to leave a comment on their
just thing. To literally acknowledge them. Like, I don't think people realize how it may not feel like the most scalable thing in the world, but attention people only think about the attention that they want to get from other people. They don't understand how valuable it would be to give a little bit of thought, care, and attention to somebody else and how much it would mean to them. And it's the least scalable thing to do if you really, in some ways. But I'll tell you what, Pat, I found that like I tell everybody that the most undervalued strategy as a content creator is to actually acknowledge and interact with and go deeper on engagement, because you'll be the only content creator probably who has done it for that viewer this entire week, this entire day. You'll be the only one who replied back to them. I tell people, if you're getting less than 100 comments a day, reply to every one of them. Reply to every single one of them with a thoughtful comment. I tell people all the time that that's like the if you want to grow a channel, YouTube channel fast, don't worry about the algorithm, worry about the audience. The fastest thing you could do is if you happen to be so blessed as to get 1,000 views on a video and you got 50 people in the comment section and you reply thoughtfully to every single one of those people, like I mean a paragraph reply to every single one of them, it is faster as a recruitment mechanism. If those people, if you do that enough times and those people go ahead and tell 10 people about you, your channel grows by 500 more subscribers every time that happens. If you want a growth engine to get an extra 1,000 subscribers a month, literally taking the time to reply to 100 people is the most likely way to get an extra 1,000 subscribers a month. And then once you do that, if you can maintain that, let's say you're applying to 500, 1,000 people a month. If they all went and recruited, you'd be getting 5 to 10,000 new people a month. If they care enough about what you make and how you treat them, what you do and how you treat people. It is the most commonsensical thing in the world, and yet nobody does it.
Yeah. I mean, I say that about my book. It's like, this isn't anything new. It's just focusing where we put our energy. And let's put our energy into making people feel like they belong, giving them a little bit of attention. And even a quick 5-second video on Instagram goes such a long way. And it's free to do. It's free to do. And like you said, nobody else is doing that. And talk about 1,000 true fans. That's one fan a day for less than 3 years to create an amazing business, an amazing lifestyle for yourself. And to take super fans even further, I mean, I'm again following it exactly. I'm hosting an event this year for the Pokemon community, and I'm inviting all the creators to come in, and I'm making them feel special. I'm like, even if you have 10 subscribers and you're a PokeTuber, you're going to come in and you're going to get a creator badge, and people are going to walk around and say, hey, what's your channel about? I want everybody to feel welcome here, but it's a place for the fans to then meet their favorite creators as well, because we're always only meeting virtually. And we have 4 months until this event comes out.
I need to come to this. Just as a fan, I need to come to this.
Card.party is the website. We've sold 650 tickets already. We still got 4 months left. And this is like, I haven't had to pay any creators to come. They just want to come because we're creating an environment that makes them feel special, makes them look like.
See, I want to come. Like, easy
this
sell.
Is so cool. One thing that I'm doing at this event, like we have on our website, like we design like a card for each creator who's coming, and it has their face in it. It looks like a Pokemon card, and it has their bio in it. And the creators, especially the smaller creators who get put on the website, I mean, they're sharing that thing every day because they're like, look, we're going to Card Party. We're creators. We're featured there. I'd love to meet you there. We haven't had to spend a dime on marketing this because we're creating the event that everybody would want to go to. And be cool if you were there. We have, I mean, it's like nobody knew me 2 years ago. I didn't know anything about Pokemon 2 years ago. And here we are. Like, you just have to put some thought and be obsessed about helping create experiences for people in a very short period of time, relatively speaking. You can make something amazing happen.
I agree with that so much. I mean, and you've been down this road before in terms of it was slower, but you were learning everything from scratch before about the skill set. I think that the biggest advantage you had was the skill set in content creation. I think you learned a different version of it now in the entertainment niche with the storytelling and all the things you did. But at least you didn't have the same hump of learning how to be comfortable on camera all over again. Yeah. The confidence thing. You had the 365 days straight of live streaming. That is a massive confidence and performance boost. You had the public speaking boost and bump from that. You had the technical ability with you and everyone on your team in terms of knowing camera, lights, audio. At least there's that. Those things are big advantages. I still think it would have been massively successful without the technical advantages, but I do think the ability to communicate and present, if anyone was going to learn any skill to advance in content creation that exist outside the psychology and temperament of really caring and serving and putting the community first, would you say that out of, let's say, between the two things of like production and performance and profitability, that the like smartest thing someone could do is probably focus on their ability to perform and communicate on camera?
A million percent. I mean, what if
$0 too?
What, right. I mean, that being said, you can invest into that as well, which I have. I've hired speaking coaches and performance coaches and all that kind of stuff because I want to up that game, because I know how important that is. Voice coaching, voice lessons, all that kind of stuff, because that matters. But yes, you can do that for nothing. And just because you have a really good camera and really good lighting and really good mics, if you don't have performance, you're just going to make your bad performance look better. So
the camera can't carry you.
No, it can't. I mean, a good editor could do a little bit for sure, but communication, it's really what it comes down to. And then, a large part of our process at Deep Pocket Monster is looking at the analytics. What is working? What is not working? And really trying to get the flattest retention graph that we could ever get. That's our goal with every video, is like, how do we get a flat retention graph?
Would you say, if you were going to give a technical, actionable thing, that paying attention to the retention graph and sculpting your execution, storytelling and storyboarding and edits around retention would probably be your most actionable, valuable tip?
100%. I mean, there's two parts of retention, right? There's the hook, which YouTube will tell you this many people stuck around after 30 seconds, like making that better. But then also holding people all the way till the end as much as possible.
What's that, if you don't mind, what's that 30-second percentage retention look like for you? And what's the completion percentage look like for you typically on a good performing video?
Yeah, on a good performing video, 85% of people still watching after 30 seconds. And by the end of the video, 60% of people still watching, which is, to have more than half the people sticking around to the end of a 25-minute video is pretty darn good. And we do notice when there are spikes, which is good because people wanted to see that again. But then also dips we do pay attention to as well, especially in our experimental videos. We have different buckets of videos that we're always contributing to because they're proven and they help support each other. There's that stacking effect. But we also save 20% of our content for new things, experimental.
80-20.
80-20, baby. That's what I'm talking about. But the retention graph for sure. And, just again, learning from other creators. There's a very good creator, Sunny V2, who I've been watching and studying.
Oh, I love Sunny V2 stuff.
His stories are great. Thumbnails make you want to click, titles and thumbnails. But what I find interesting about Sunny V2 that I'm trying to learn and get better at is when I have like one topic to the next, to not even make it so much of a, like, when he's talking about like 5 different creators, you don't even know you're in creator number 2. Like, he just perfectly weaves into the next one where you don't even have time to almost like know that you're switching to another part of the video. It's so seamless, right? So I'm trying to learn from him. I've learned from Mr. Beast and Ryan Trahan about hooking people into the videos and keeping people sticking around. Sometimes there was a guy named not Louis CK, but there's another. He's like an inventor. He did the video where he tried to cook a chicken by slapping it really fast.
Oh, he's the guy who does the unnecessary inventions guy.
No, but it's a similar guy. Luis Wentz or something. I can't remember his name, but anyway, he did a video that went viral about how to. He was. A lot of people were talking on Reddit and making calculations like, yeah, you can slap a chicken fast enough to cook it because it creates heat. And he was like, I'm just going to put this to the test. And so he built a machine to do it. And there was a lot of starts and stops and failures and all this kind of stuff. So I really love that video. We took that story and we brought it to the Pokemon world. So I'm not going to cook a chicken, but there were a lot of things in the space, like these graded cards that people get. You can actually shake the card that's inside these plastic containers that are graded and are very valuable. And there was a lot of curiosity. Does this actually damage the card or not? So I just used that question in the framework that was already, proven. And we did that. So I invented a machine out of Lego to shake a graded Pokemon card. He made the chicken, I think he called it like the Meat Beater 3000 or something like that. So mine was like the Slab Shaker 3000. And I just followed the same things. There was like a time lapse of me creating it. There was a time lapse of him creating it. And then the outcome. And that video went viral, even though people... like, not everybody cares about graded cards. The way we set this up and the spectacle of like creating a machine to do it is really the focus there. And it did very, very well. And the last thing I'll say is we have a series of videos that now I'm just so grateful that we're a part of because everybody wins. So I've been buying people's collections, like Pokemon collections from their childhood, because they need to unload it for some reason, maybe to pay for bills or they want to buy a house or something. So I get these at a pretty good deal. And then I create a video saying, you know, I spent this much money on somebody's childhood collection. Was it worth it? Right? That's the I need to click to see if it was worth it. And then I reveal the price at the end, and then people tell me whether or not I got my money's worth or not. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But it's a mystery. You kind of see what I bought.
The mystery box.
The mystery box, right, which is, again, built into this niche. I'm now building my collection, and the ad revenue from the video pays for the collection that I just bought. And not only that, I'm actually giving away most of the cards inside of these binders. I keep a couple for myself, but I give away most of them on live streams. So now people are saying, like, you are the Mr. Beast of
the Pokemon.
I'm far off from him, but
at the same time, yeah, I see it. I can see the Mr. Beastification of, and this is how you become the Mr. Beast of. I'd love to have you back specifically to let's talk about how to become the Mr. Beast of your niche. Because
I mean, I don't know if I'm qualified. I mean, I guess I am in this sense.
No, you are, because you, in this regard, like, you've reverse engineered the practicality of a Mr. Beast thing, and you grew exponentially faster than he was able to with his own thesis. The market cap for being Mr. Beast, like, no one can be Mr. Beast, but they can in their niche. And the topical market cap for Pokemon YouTubers is not that high, and you are accelerating at a faster growth rate than almost any Pokemon related channel that I've ever seen, and you are doing it differently, and you are creating your own format that's almost non-duplicatable at this point, which is the other factor of Mr. Beastification that people don't realize, is that you've created a self-sustaining thing that starts as a loss leader model that has an element of philanthropy, a massive amount of community, is non-duplicatable, has built-in all these built-in mechanisms that are inherently organic to the thing. That is what it means. People think to be Mr. Beast, it's give away money, blow up, do this, do that. You actually have figured out what it actually means to apply Mr. Beast methodology to a niche. And we've seen the proof in the pudding of it working. And so I would love to deep dive with you.
That'd be super fun.
That'd be super fun. The other thing I'd love to do so I have to have you back at least twice for this year, because the other thing I want to do is I want to figure out how we would reverse engineer and apply everything you've been doing to channels like my channel and to SPI, to your business channel.
Dude, we can jam on that for sure.
Let's do it. Pat, thank you so much for coming. Tell everybody where they can find you. We're going to link to all of your links in the description and in the show notes.
Hey, thank you so much, Roberto. I appreciate you. Smartpassiveincome.com. I still teach business there. I'm still on the podcast. I'm not gone from that brand. And we have something now called the All Access Pass, where we have people get access to all of our courses. It's a fantastic deal. You can check that out there. But we talked about Deep Pocket Monster today. You can find me at Deep Pocket Monster on YouTube, and I recommend you check out a video and just kind of consciously go in to see how we start these videos and how we hopefully hook people in, and you can borrow from that. I mean, steal from us, right? So I appreciate you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pat. I think it's one of the best case studies on YouTube today for anybody looking to enter into this space. Everybody, stay awesome. We'll catch you next time.